last few months, you may have noticed the rise of a new app, or you may have noticed people all stopping to get their phones out at the same time to take a photo from the front and the back. All your friends seem to be getting it, and you just feel that big FOMO that you're gonna miss out on this amazing new app that's coming. One sec. Just had to do my BeReal. So BeReal actually came out in December 2019, but didn't actually gain any popularity until the start of this year, when it had a 300% increase of users from 2022. The whole idea of it is that at any moment during the day, it will send you this notification, and you have to respond to it in 2 minutes to take a photo of yourself and whatever you're stood in front of. So that basically uses your front camera and your back camera. Then it posts it to your friends. You can have as many or as little friends on this app as any other social media. So maybe you want to confine this to just your circle, or maybe 10 or so people. However, they won't be able to see that post until they've posted their own BeReal. In order to participate in the app, you have to be taking a photo every day. When you compare it to apps like Instagram, it is massively different in the kind of tone and formality of it. While Instagram may have started off in an informal way, it has slowly become this almost portfolio of your life. You wearing your best outfits and best makeup with your best friends. Whereas BeReal is like you on the daily, just doing your thing. You could be literally doing nothing and BeReal would be showing that to your friends. Also, another thing to note is that you only really get one chance to take a photo. If you do retake photos, your friends can see that you've retaken the photo. And then how real are you? Come on, how real? So let's start with the positive stuff, because no one likes a Debbie Downer. I just think it's a very fun app. It's short, it's quick, it just comes up on your phone, you do it, you move on. I also really love that it means you can see what your friends are doing in real moments, not just what they want to show you. It just reassures you that people aren't just having fun without you. They are also working or sitting in their bed watching Netflix. I think sometimes Instagram can reinforce this idea that we need to have fun all the time, and life's just not like that. We don't have the energy for that, we don't have the time for that. BeReal encourages you to share the most mundane and boring parts of your life as well as the fun parts, because you could get a notification when you're hanging out with your friends or doing something fun, but it's not you that decides that. I also like how curated it is as an app, because it's very fresh and new. You're only really adding your close friends. You don't really have followers, you have friends. And at least in my opinion, BeReal won't make you famous yet. It's like all sending a picture on a WhatsApp group at the same time, and I think that's quite wholesome. It's pretty wholesome. The lack of filters is so much better than other social medias at the moment. Filters and editing can be so impactful on people's mental health and self-image. If everyone is showing themselves very quickly, can't really pose, can't really stage themselves, can't really put makeup on, it could be basically whatever. You're like, oh, quick, take a photo, 2 minutes. It's like not really a thought process of, oh, I need to look good. It's very much like, let's go, let's take a picture, move on. Because of that, you are more likely to see people not just from their best side, but also from all the sides, you know, like not just the same angle of your friend that you know is their favorite angle of themselves, and they always put the same filter with the same blurring out the spots. We don't have that. This is authentic. This is straight up. I think that's a really positive thing for people's mental health. The other positive of the app is that if you only follow 5 people, you will only have to see 5 posts that day. You can't stalk your friends' past photos. You can only look at your own past photos. There is no infinite scroll, which is a very common feature on a lot of social medias at the moment, and is part of the reason why they're so addictive. With BeReal, it's just as many posts as you have friends, and then that's it, you're finished. Because of how simple and boring the photos are, you're probably not going to spend too much time scrolling. It is what you make of it though, because if you have 25 friends on it, you have 25 posts. So like, you are in control of how much time you want to spend on that app. It means you're probably only going to check the app once a day. It's not like all your friends are posting at random times and you can't keep up and you want to check Instagram halfway through the day to see what's new. It's gonna be the same pictures than it was that you saw 2 hours ago. There is no real desire to check the app on a regular basis throughout the day. It's not a constant inflow of posts. It's just however many you have friends. And in addition to that, you also get a notification every time one of your friends posts. That can be also really helpful because it means you don't have to refresh the app to see when people are posting, it just tells you. It's very reassuring that if your friends have a similar lifestyle to you, that you are living the same lives, that actually you are living alongside each other. You can relate to one another in the mundane, not just in the big events. And I think there's something really nice about that, and actually being reassured that your life isn't boring. Everyone's life has boring moments. Okay, now let's bring out my inner cynic and roast the crap out of this app, because I have something to say. Ultimately, I feel like one of the main issues with social media as a general rule is the comparison between your own life and others. This app is not an exception of that. I think it is just on a much lower scale. It's actually in some ways more harmful, because if you have friends that are always out of the house and you're always sat in your bed, even that small comparison of, oh, I wish I was like that person, always at the library, always revising, or always working hard at their job. Like, even though it's not like, oh, that person looks great, it's still a comparison of your lives. Comparison is still harmful, and even if that is small scale, obviously there's an element at which you may be less comparable because it's not so significant and you're like, oh, that person's just sat in their room. It maybe makes you feel better about yourself, but that is still ultimately a comparison. I don't think that is a good way to live your life, to be honest. I think comparison is the thief of joy. Social media encourages comparison. There is also an extent at which it is not good because of how hyper aware you are of everyone's lives. If you were to eliminate social media altogether, you would essentially only know things about people from what they tell you. When you ask someone what they did in the summer and they said, oh, I went to a festival, I saw Tiny Temper. Don't know why he came to my head. You kind of go, okay, and you have this like visual image in your head of a typical festival with a big stage and Tiny Temper on the stage. That is all the information you get from that, unless you then ask for photos, ask for videos. If you see a photo of your friend at the festival seeing Tiny Temper, you then have all these extra visuals that your brain wasn't even capable of imagining. What they were wearing, who they were with, how many people were there, what kind of people were there, what were the lights like, what was the stage like, what was Tiny Temper wearing, like all this extra information you wouldn't actually get otherwise. In some ways, I think this can be positive. It helps you to understand and really be immersed in people's lives. But I think this can also be negative because of the amount of information you're receiving that isn't that important to you and your own life and what you need to process and deal with. In the same way, BeReal is like this because it's very small details about people's lives that you wouldn't otherwise see. In some ways, like, who cares? Do I really care what you did on a Wednesday at 3 in the morning? No, I was asleep. I don't need to know that information, but BeReal wants you to know. Obviously, if it's your friends, you probably do care about their lives and it can be very nice, but if you have people who are in your wider circle, you're probably thinking, I don't really care what they did that day. Also, there is a discovery page. Why do all social media apps do this? It's essentially a load of random people who you've never met showing their BeReals, and you can choose whether you want to post your BeReal on Discovery. I think this is very negative because of, it just reminds me of TikTok. Endless scroll. I just don't think you need to spend your time scrolling on social media, looking at strangers. Like, that just doesn't click well. Like, why do you need to see what Fred from Sweden did on Thursday? You don't. I just feel like it sets an expectation that you have to be doing something at all times in the day because you want the BeReal to show up when you're doing something fun. You want to be hanging out with your friends as much as you can so that when your BeReal comes up, it looks like you're a social butterfly. No, that's not how life works. We can't feasibly do that. If you were truly being real and being present in the moment, would you be on your phone? Would you stop and pause and, quick guys, be real? Is that life? Or why can't we just enjoy what we're doing? Why can't we hang out with our friends without the need to take photographs? I think it's really important that we aren't just consumed by social media. Why does the people need this new app? They already have 5 others that does basically the same thing. Instagram could be like BeReal if people treated it that way. The problem with Instagram is that because people have perceived it as this highlight reel of things which you've done on your weekend, that's what everyone else thinks that's for. But if we used Instagram in the same way we use BeReal and we socially enforce that amongst our peers, then that means that we can already use these tools that we have already and not need an extra app for the real selves. You kind of have this divide between your Instagram curated self and your BeReal self. Which one do you want to keep? Can you maintain both? Are you now having like two lives? Okay, my final point is about privacy and data protection. Because of the nature of BeReal being a random photo at a random time during the day, you kind of have less control over what you choose to post and what you're showing. Because there is that behind the scenes peer pressure to take part and to take the photo so you can see what everyone's doing that day, you might feel obliged to post just so you can take part. And I think there are some major privacy issues within this, because how does BeReal make money, you may ask? It's very, very likely to be through data selling. Every time you take a photo on BeReal, it takes all the data of you, and over time, it essentially creates this profile of you. It's basically the advertiser's dream, because if they want to see what young people are doing, BeReal has that data. If they want to see what young people are wearing, BeReal has that data. Because it is so everyday and so constant, more and more data is collected from your account every day. If you're not careful, you can share your location, which is extremely invasive. I don't necessarily want to show people where I took that photo, basically show them where you live. But because of this enforced FOMO and this desire to be nosy about what everyone's doing, you're quite happy to sacrifice that level of privacy in your life so you can see into the lives of others. To conclude, is BeReal the best social media out there right now? Potentially. Does it have the potential to go tits up? Yes. Should you get it? That's completely up to you.